Welcome to Architrave Gaming. I'm Archmaster Matthias, currently the only Archmaster. What next? Thank you for stopping in. Moon. I'm looking at random stuff. And I have 3 million words and like 11,000 articles on World Anvil of. By the way, World Anvil sponsorship. One day. I know I have 0 following right now, but one day. Yeah, so moons. Just random idea. What if there was a moon? Okay, I have this thing I call angle magic in my world, right? It's really important. It's essentially that you can only see things when you're looking at it at the right angle, right? And it applies to seeing and touching and traveling and everything else, right? But we'll start with seeing. That if I am standing on my porch and I look north, I just see, the mountains and the forest and, the stuff out there, right? But if I move off to the side and I look at it at a different angle, then I see something else hidden there. Maybe I see the Wizard's Tower, right? Like there's a Wizard's Tower there on that mountain, and you can only see it if you're looking at it from exactly, 32 degrees northeast or, whatever. You have to actually be looking at it in the right angle. And then if you move off, it disappears again, right? So it's angle magic. And in the same way, you can only actually approach it and reach it and touch it if you travel by the right angle, right? So what if there was a moon that was so close to the Earth that it essentially blocked out like the entire sky? You could see the sky on the horizon around and maybe a couple stars, but like 90% of the sky is blocked out because of this moon. But most people don't know it's there because you have to look at it at the right angle to even see it. So you have to, walk over to Smallsville over there. And once you get in, we'll say it's a town radius, right? Like everything in this town is the correct angle. So you're in this town and you look up and then, you enter the town and suddenly you just see a moon appear there, right? Almost like you're looking through a kaleidoscope or something like that. I don't know. It's like, you walk out and it kind of disappears and you see the stars and you walk in and then it appears. You're like, dude, there's a moon sitting right there and it's blocking out all the stars. And what if the surface of the moon was super reflective like a mirror, so you can look up and see the moon and it's essentially a mirror reflection of the ground you're on. And maybe I'm coming up with this now, maybe people on that in that town, that township area, we'll say like 50 square miles or something, what if they can't like travel around because you can say there's mist in like bisecting areas like walls of mist or walls of actual rock, like little mini mountain ranges, like hill ranges. And so people can't really travel around very much and they can't really see over the horizon because there are all these things blocking, right? But if you look up in the sky, then you can use it essentially as a real-time map and say, oh, there's that thing over there. And so you can orient yourself from the reflective moon. There we go, random idea. Idea number 2 for angle magic. You have a city. You enter through the north gate of the city. You're looking south. You enter through the north gate, and it's a city of humans, and it's they're trading, and it's a market district, and all blah blah blah. You leave the city, and you go around and enter through the western gate, and now it's a city of orcs, right? Each city exists in its own little dimension, and it's only accessed through the right angle, right? I call them angle dimensions, right? So using angles, like where you approach something, and you can use, 3-dimensionality as well. You have to go down or up, all sorts of combinations. But you can only approach something from the right angle in the same thing, or the same, geometric location. The same geolocation can have different things in it based on which angle you approach it. So say you're in the U.S., right? And you start on the western seaboard, and you start walking east, and you see, the U.S., and then you turn around, start walking west, and everything's, a different terrain. It's all forest and swamp and whatnot. And if you turn around and look right, it's what you saw it was before, going east the first time. And if you look west again, it's swamp. And so whichever direction you're going, you go into these, different landscapes. It's like 2 different types of landscapes stacked on top of each other. And if you go west, you go on this one, and you start going east, and you pop up on this one, and you go west again, you go back on this one, right? So you can never go west on this, and you can never go east on, whatever. Something like you can never go west on one, and you can never go east on the other. Anytime you move back and forth, you hop to the different one. And so, you can say, here's the city, and you enter in the south gate, and it's, you access the city of humans in that dimension, and you go through the north gate, and you access the city of orcs, and you go through the south gate, and it's, lo and behold, it's not a city, it's, a ruin some ancient elven ruin, and then you go through the west gate, and oh, it's under attack by goblins, and this is actually, a dwarven city under attack by goblins. And so you have essentially all these different realities layered on top of each other, and you access them through different angles. I just think that's such an interesting idea that you don't really see that in fantasy. You don't see it in sci-fi. I've never seen it anywhere where you access the same. You access different things by approaching the same thing at different angles. You can apply this concept to so many things. You can. Well, here's a different idea. Association magic. My world has association, where if it's like in D&D you have the natural crossings like the Feywild. You go into one forest clearing in the material plane, and if that forest clearing is identical to another forest clearing in the Feywild, then you might pop from one to the other, right? It's a natural crossing, and because they are so similar, because they're exactly alike, you go from one and you appear in the other, right? I took that idea and I was like, why doesn't that apply to so many more things in the material plane itself? If there are two waterfalls that are identical and you swim off one, you could appear off the other. Like you could actually travel the world that way. What if you have some fountain, right? It's like this big water fountain in the town square of some city, and there's some good king that rules there and whatnot, and you have this evil sorcerer, right? And he spends a year building an exact replica of this fountain. He sends his minions to go take all the measurements of it, and he's in his evil underground lair, and he builds an exact replica of the fountain. And one day on the annual coronation festival, the king goes to the fountain and drinks from the water because that's their festival, right? And so what the evil guy does is, as he knows, okay, it's 12 noon, the king is going to be at the fountain, he fireballs the fountain replica in his evil lair, and because the two things are exactly alike, what happens to one happens to the other, so a fireball just erupts in the middle of town square and kills the king, and boom, that's the start of an adventure, right? The idea of association magic where two things are identical, or even close enough that affecting one affects the other, there's so much you can do with that. That's so huge. That can revolutionize all the economy, all the magic, all the road and the travel, and that's so big. That's such an enormous idea. I'm getting over a cold, that's why I'm breathing so hard. Anyway, here's another one. This is one of my early ideas about this. Say you have a mountain, okay, and the top of the mountain is affected by gravity magic or something, and so it lifts up and it starts floating away. You have floating mountains, so the other mountain is just like this flat top, right, and then the mountain peak is floating, say 50 feet away or something, and people can't get up to the mountain peak anymore because it's floating off to the side. Oh well, association magic says, because this isn't quite the same thing as the two fountains, but it's kind of close. It's in the same realm. It's also kind of like angle magic a bit. It's all connected. So anyway, you could look at the mountain and say, hey, there's a tunnel that runs up through the mountain, and it used to run up through the entire mountain all the way up to the peak, right? Well, if that mountain is broken off and you try to walk up the top, you're looking at it and you're just gonna fall off the top, right? Because it's just a flat peak. You just walk on the top of the peak or jump off the edge. But if you go through that tunnel on the inside, the tunnel doesn't necessarily know that it's not connected to the other tunnel yet. That association is still there. So you can actually go from the tunnel inside, and from your perspective, you go through the tunnel entirely and you appear on the top of the peak, right? So you go up through the mountain and you just appear here, and you come up the top of the floating mountain. The association between the mountain is still there. It still thinks it's the same thing. And so, you can go through that passage and just appear on the other side automatically, right? Association magic. There's we have the weave and the goddess of magic and stuff. It's I find that so boring. We've had that for so many decades now. It's so old and tired. Let's do something new. Let's do association magic. Let's do angle magic. Let's do something so much cooler, right? I actually incorporate these into my game system because they're incorporated into the world, right? Anyway, I don't want the video to be too long for algorithm. Speaking of that, please feed the algorithm. Patreon, if you want to support what I'm doing and help me do this full time so I can actually make a game out of it and not just a little demo. And comment below if you want to join my team, because I'd love to have team members actually read my 3 million words and help me remember what I wrote 3 years ago and be like, hey, dude, this is a cool idea. It could fit with this new idea you had. I'm like, bro, thank you. That's so correct, right? We got to get the production rolling on this. Anyway, thank you for watching. Feed the algorithm. God bless.